I'm deeply appreciative of the ongoing partnership with the OECS Commission, the University of the West Indies, and the World Bank in respect of this dialogue series. Our theme this year, Creative Disruption and Innovation, Pathways for Transformative Change and Sustainable Growth, is very aligned with the central bank priorities, which of course includes our focus, or principal focus, on transforming the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union through innovation and collective action. And I'm supposed to be moving these slides now, so let's see if we could do that. There we go. That's what we focus on. There we go. At the launch of ECCB's 40th anniversary celebrations last year, I posed a challenge, a student a question, the so-called big push. Here's the question. What will it take to double the size of our economies over the next decade? And for our currency union today, the size of our currency union economy, that is $23 billion. What will it take for us to get to 46 billion? And we have 8 member countries, so we begin to break that down. I was in Grenada a few weeks ago for a lecture there, and Grenada is 3.6 billion. You want to get to 7.2 billion. Antigua is around just over 5 billion. You want to get to 10 billion. St. Lucia, it's around 5.5 billion. You want to get to 11 billion. Every member country has shares in this enterprise. But the question is, what will you do? What will we do, individual, collectively, to deliver the big growth, the big push challenge? And I want to be very clear. The idea of the big push is not simply about growing the economy. That's a conversation starter. That's something we could measure. So it's easy for me to find that as an economist. But the truth is, what we really want to do is to enlarge possibilities, to expand opportunities, where the unemployed, the underemployed, the employed but disengaged, the bright but frustrated will find expression in the ECCU economy and society and live out their God-given potential. That's what we want to achieve. That is what that is all about. So I want you to join us in the Big Push Challenge. And by the way, if you want to take this real personal, here's a question for you. What will it take to double your net worth? I'm looking at Nikira now. Nikira, that's for every one of us. I look at Nikira because Nikira is a financial literacy champion, and that's where I'm going with that. I'm not putting in the years. You get to decide whether it's going to take you 5 years or 10 years. Maybe 1 year. It depends on your baseline. What will it take? Because one of the ideas of the Big Push Challenge is wealth creation. But I digress, so let me get back to my text. Here's the thing about moonshot goals. They trigger our imagination. And let us be clear, we cannot transform this region without a sense of imagination. Far too often, we falter at the first instance because we have no imagination about what could be and should be for our currency union. And I want to challenge us for the next couple of days to reimagine our region, to see yourselves in this new economy and this new currency union. What would you like to achieve, and how are you going to help to make that difference? So moonshot goals, like the overall economy over the next decade, often trigger imagination and lead to incredible innovations with lasting impact. And there's no doubt in my mind about the capacity of our region to innovate. We have to look no further than innovations that we will be featuring in this dialogue. Consider the innovativeness of Johannes Dujon, founder of Algas Organics in St. Lucia. This enterprising young man was featured on the Forbes 30 Under 30 Manufacturing 2020 list for his creative and productive new uses for the sargassum seaweed that has invaded our shores. And if you think about what that is, that's a problem that he has now found an opportunity to leverage and to create value. Or we could consider Eon Innovative Solutions, Inc., based in Trinidad and Tobago, whose product offerings include software solutions for medical industry. And I see Psyche Southwell is in the room, and Psyche could tell you what she is doing in the medical front as well. And I don't want to go on this, but I must pause for a moment and reflect on what we've done here at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. as the first currency union in the world to issue a central bank digital currency called Dcash. Only yesterday, I received a request from an African country to come to do a study tour because they want to understand better CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. And I can go on to talk about the catastrophe risk insurance facility, which we launched on the heels of Hurricane Ivan, which occurred in 2004. I mention it because this is the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Ivan, which devastated Grenada, Cayman, Jamaica, and impacted other countries. Coming out of that, what did we do? We created the first multi-country catastrophe risk pool in the world, called the Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility. Today, that is not only covering in excess of $1 billion, over the last 14, 15 years has paid out close to $270 million payouts, all within 14 days. But more importantly, perhaps, or equally important, is the fact that it has inspired innovation in Africa, ARC, in the Pacific, PIFGRIF, and in Southeast Asia. That's what our innovation did. And it came out of a difficulty, of a challenge. And that is why I want to encourage us to think about our challenges at the moment and how we could leverage them for our success and transformation. So I want to offer you 4 key messages very briefly as we reflect on the way forward. 1, transformation requires each of us to start with ourselves, our mindset and our skill sets. Our mindsets and our skill sets. Secondly, transformation necessitates an enabling policy set with an appropriate financing architecture and accompanying investments. You have to invest. We have to invest. And we have to have financing so to do. Third, innovation requires collaboration across sectors. It's not the purview of one sector or the government. All of us have to get involved. Public, private, NGO, private capital, of course. And finally, our transformation demands a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency. There must be a fire in our bones which say, I must do something and I must do it now. And not wait for anyone else, but to take it upon ourselves to do what we can to advance our region and our transformation. So here's the thing. The future is now. The current pace of technological innovation is simply astounding. In an article by Max Rosa titled Technology Over the Long Run, dated February 22nd, 2023, and published on our World in Data org, we find the following. The article notes it took 2.4 million years for humanity to learn to manage fire and then harness it to cook. But guess what? It took us only 66 years from the first flight to our landing on the moon, 1903, 1969. Given the pace of technology, unprecedented as it were, we are bearing witness in our lifetime to technological and scientific leaps which we could never dream of. And so here is on screen, and I hope you get time to look at this because this is very illuminating, the progress of humankind over the last 2 millennia, but especially over the last 100 years, how we've come and how things have moved. And I hope you will find that quite interesting. So, as I move on, I want to point out to you that not only is the rate of adoption of innovation quite unprecedented, but so is the rate of adoption. So is the rate of adoption. In fact, it is causing us to now see changes in both world trade and production. An article by Pallavi Rao titled How Long It Took for Popular Apps to Reach 100 Million Users noted the following. It took 7 years for the number of users of the World Wide Web to reach 100 million after it was launched in 1991. But here's the thing. In contrast, when ChatGPT was launched in 2022, that milestone of 100 million users took 2 months. 2 months. You believe that? The point here is that we are seeing unprecedented change powered by technology. As a result of which, according to the World Trade Organization, the growth of exports of digitally delivered services have soared in recent years. In fact, between 2005 and 2022, the value of digitally delivered services increased by almost fourfold, from 1 trillion to 3.8 trillion globally. And in the case of the currency union, our share of that was threefold our increase, from 178.7 million to 551.9 million over the same period. So the world, fourfold increase, the ECCU, threefold increase. So we're hanging in there, but we're not outperforming, because we should be at fivefold or sixfold. But we're part of the revolution. We just need to pick up our pace and our impact. So here's the question. How do we keep pace with all these developments? Because if you think about it, it could be both exhilarating and exhausting. And for some of us, a little disconcerting. Like the conversation we're having about AI right now, and whether AI will take over our lives and take over the world. So the first thing we need to do is to have the right mindset. We need a growth mindset. That has been theorized by Professor Carol Dweck of Stanford University, and I invite you to consider the growth mindset. Such a mindset sees development not as challenges to be fed, but as opportunities to be seized and leveraged. Makes a huge difference. So we don't complain about AI. We embrace AI, and we put the governance on AI to make sure AI serves us rather than the other way around. And by the way, AI has been around since 1956. So this drama about AI taking over the world is a little bit, frankly, hysterical. We've been at this for a while. Let's get our minds applied to how we're going to provide governance to ensure AI works for us. And I'm not dismissing the challenges and the risk of AI. I'm simply saying the mindset requires us to embrace it and to leverage it for our advantage and to our advantage. So I invite you to consider what Professor Dweck has to say on this. And I ask you this morning, what is your mindset? Is it fixed or is it growth? What mindset do you have? If we want to transform this region, we need citizens and residents of the ECCU who have a growth mindset, who reframe problems as opportunities, and in so doing, bring the resilience that is required to navigate shocks, and as I like to say, not simply absorb and withstand a shock, but to bounce forward. Not back, bounce forward. That is resilience for me. And in these parts, where we're so exposed to shocks, economic, natural disasters, among other things, we need constantly to be building resilience to sustain and protect our growth and our gains, but also to sustain what we need to do on our transformation agenda. The World Economic Forum's Future of Job Report 2023 projects that over the next few years, some of the top job growth areas will be technology-related. Unsurprisingly, this report identifies analytical thinking, creative thinking, resilience, which I just spoke about, flexibility and agility, curiosity and lifelong learning, technological literacy, empathy, and also active listening. And by the way, active listening is a good ingredient for a long-lasting marriage. I recently celebrated 27 years of marriage, so I'm reflecting on that. Thank you. I did not say it for applause. I simply said it to apply what I'm saying to real life, because some of us in the room are married or contemplating marriage. Active listening is a very important ingredient. And by the way, I learned from my wife. Men, listening is wanting to hear. I leave that there. Let's move on. I am pleased to observe that the master classes on offer in this dialogue will target some of these skills I just mentioned. And I want to thank the presenters and moderators who will help us with that. So we need the right mindset. Secondly, a model. I'll be done shortly. Innovation cannot flourish in a vacuum, and it is neither a task for nor the domain of a single sector. Historically, the Caribbean region has not fared well on measures of innovation. Switzerland, Sweden, the United States, United Kingdom, and Singapore are the top 5 most innovative economies in the world. They have an index of 132 economies, and these are the top 5. Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago are ranked 78th and 102, respectively. But alas, the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union is not ranked. Now, I don't know if it's because of data or because we're not innovating. Well, I know it's not because we're not innovating. We are innovating, but perhaps we have not brought forward the data. So Psyche and others, we have to fix that. We have to put ourselves on this innovation map. Because right now, as far as the world is concerned, we don't exist. We have nothing to bring to the world, which is not true. So the model requires not just a mindset, but also it requires us to have what the Netherlands, which is ranked 7th in the world, credits its impressive performance to. The triple helix model of innovation, which is basically a triennium of government, academia, and industry. Because let's be honest, government by itself cannot deliver innovation. It could help with the enabling environment. It could help with the right investment in skills and incentives. But ultimately, we have to have academia, the University of the West Indies, among others, to deliver us with the skills, and we certainly need the private sector to bring private capital to the table. And that is what we've tried to model, even how we've created this dialogue and this particular edition, and how we've collaborated. And I want to thank again those involved in our planning team for that. So we need an ecosystem, and that model is something we could consider as a region. Finally, innovation requires an ecosystem with an appropriate financing architecture. And Professor Mariano Mazzucato, who specializes in the economics of innovation, makes a cogent argument for patient capital and a different approach to financing investment in innovation. Before I conclude, a quick word from AI. I invited a generative AI application, ChatGPT, to opine on how the Caribbean region could be successful in harnessing creative disruption and innovation for transformative change and sustainable growth. This is what AI had to say. I was hoping for some sound effects, but I'm not getting it, so I'm going to read. Yes, the Caribbean region can succeed. Well, it says we can succeed in using creative disruption and innovation for sustainable growth by leveraging its cultural richness and entrepreneurial spirit. AI is on track there. Investing in education and technology, fostering collaboration among stakeholders to seize opportunities in renewable energy, sustainable tourism, and other sectors while preserving its unique heritage and environment. Not bad, AI. Let's give AI a round of applause. I mean, AI recognizes our cultural richness, or diversity, or unique heritage and environment. Okay, so AI, thank you. AI believes in us. So if AI is believing in us, then we should certainly believe in ourselves. And I hope that is the point of this simple exercise this morning. So in conclusion, I wish to thank our planning team of this year's dialogue, including our team lead, Ms. Sybil Welch, for their collaboration and creativity. So I see Mrs. Gray Phillip is here, from the head of UWI Global Campus St. Kitts. I know we have other partners like the World Bank, OECS Commission. I really want to thank them for the creativity that they put together in this particular series, this particular edition of the dialogue. And I want to thank you, the audience, for investing your precious time with us, both your travelers and the next 2 days, as we deep dive in this area of creative disruption and innovation. To all of us, but especially our youth entrepreneurs who are leading the charge in our region innovation thrust, I leave you with encouragement from renowned author Sarah Ban Breatnach. And here's what she said. The world needs dreamers, and the world needs doers. But above all, what the world needs most are dreamers that do. I love that. So often that we find people who are dreaming. There's a Calypso in Grenada that sing, all they have is ideas. P.S. Moran, you know what I'm talking about. Specky's Calypso. So there's some people who will tell you what to do. But when it comes time to do it, they can't be found. And there's some of us who are not great on ideas, but we know how to do. And you need both. But the ideal type are the dreamers that do. So do we have any dreamers in the room that do? In this auditorium and in the virtual room, dreamers that do. I see your hands, put them and give them a round of applause, please. And by the end of this dialogue, by the time you leave on Friday or Saturday, we want more dreamers that do. So that's your personal challenge. Dream, but do. And that's precisely what we do at ECCB. And so I conclude with my oft-repeated statement. As a region, we cannot change our history. Fact. Nor can we change our geography. Fact. But we can change or elevate our development trajectory through innovation and collective action. And that is what we must all strive to do. I thank you. God bless you. One love.